I've got one that can see.
This is a very important video presentation for those that are on the fence, those that believe in so-called space travel. I'm going to show 3 different astronauts from 3 different countries dropping items in zero gravity, so-called zero gravity aboard the ISS. So again, this is so very important to understand. It's not just NASA, the US, that's pulling this deception off. It's all these world so-called space organizations. And let's get right to it with this Dutch astronaut Andre Kuipers. Let's take a listen to what he says here.
And you stick it to the wall. You know, we have tape everywhere to fix things. We have this kind of Velcro straps, so you can fix it around cables. And so you need all these things to keep your stuff in place, because otherwise you lose it. It just floats away and it doesn't fall down.
And it doesn't fall down. And that's very key and very important. Let's get right to it with Andre Kuipers during this tour aboard the so-called ISS.
Hier achter deze panelen wordt de urine opgevangen. En
I'm going to stop right there. And what he's pulling on is not an actual screw. It's a ring that's attached to this panel. And let's take a look at what happens here and take a very close listen to it drop. There he goes. Now he's going down, looking down for it. And very important, again, you see the rings. Here's a ring, and there's no ring here because it dropped. So again, getting back to what he said earlier.
You lose it. It just floats away, and it doesn't fall down.
And he says, again, it doesn't fall down. And we just saw that happen. And moving on here with another astronaut, this Italian astronaut, Paolo Nespoli, as he drops a clip here. Let's take a look here. I'm going to play in slow motion for those that might be questioning what I'm presenting. It's going to be clear as day. Let's take a look.
An Italian on the ISS, but
Drops.
we also have a lot of Italy on the station.
Now he just turns around. He doesn't know what to do.
How many parts?
Now let's stop here for a second and look at this slowly. I'm going to play it at 2 different slower speeds. Let's take a look at this one first. And obviously, he drops it in supposed zero gravity aboard the ISS.
An Italian
There he goes.
on the ISS, but we also have a lot of
He
Italy
turns
on
around
the
again.
station.
Now
How
here's
many
super
parts?
slow. And you're going to see him actually with his right hand kind of hit it, and it falls. And you see that smirk on his face as he turns around. He doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to react. So he kind of turns around for who knows whatever reason besides being completely embarrassed. Now, this, as we've seen so many times with the astronauts, they love to throw a microphone around in so-called outer space. Why not just be wireless? What are we back, in the 70s or 80s still using these microphones? This is just a prop. And they're trying to show off their zero-G in so-called ISS. But again, nothing but smoke and mirrors, nonsense, garbage from these frauds, these liars. Now watch this. As this one so-called astronaut is holding this inflatable globe. Let's play this clip and take a look at what happens. And he drops it. And look at the expressions from all the other so-called astronauts. And look at this face here, the one in the middle, the ringleader of this circus. Uh-oh, back up. Completely embarrassing. Let's take a closer look. And there he goes. And look at her face here as it drops. Oops, oops. Uh-oh. That's supposed to happen. Completely embarrassing. And what it comes down to, liars always expose themselves. They can't keep their lies straight. And this is transparent as transparent gets. But of course, the NASA fanboys, the SpaceX fanboys, they're not going to have anything to do with this. They're going to make every excuse in the book, of course, because once someone believes a lie, it's very hard to unbelieve a lie. And that's all comes down to ego. And ego is the biggest enemy of truth. And let's play a little bit closer even. Clip here as he drops it once again in supposed zero gravity. There's absolutely no excuse. It gets back to Andre Cooper, who says things do not drop in space. And oops. So look at the expression here coming up with these so-called astronauts. And their faces speak a million words as it drops. And look at the reaction. Look at her face specifically. This guy here starts smiling. They don't know what to do. And the smiles. Obviously, they are completely embarrassed. Obviously, not part of the script. And of course, the foundation of the ISS, with Russia and the U.S. docking supposedly in 1998, the two modules, and of course, no real footage of the so-called ISS being constructed, because obviously it doesn't exist. It's all smoke and mirrors, nothing but a lie. And this is, again, the foundation of the world lie system, supposedly living on a spinning ball, zipping through outer space. And again, what it all comes down to is liars, again, can't keep their lies straight, and busted once again. And for those that cannot see the obvious fakery I just showed, and again, this is official NASA footage, supposedly, of the construction, obviously just CGI, and obviously they cannot show us real construction taking place because there is no ISS. There are no space travel missions. Again, people need to wake up and realize this whole world system is nothing but a lie.
I've got one that can see.
Here we are, it's about 2:10 in the morning, and we're about to watch the ISS cross. I've never seen the shape of the ISS, so we're about to see how real that is. Check back with you momentarily.
So, all in all, I felt pretty good about seeing it. I knew that the moon was going to keep moving, so I had to plan ahead a little bit, just make sure that I wasn't moving it during that minute period of time that it would be crossing. So I was kind of keeping it moved ahead of time. And then something weird happened right after I made that little video. So it was about 2.5 minutes before the pass this happened, which I assume is a bird. Certainly looks like one. So I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to show you that this bird here, I'm going to slow it down for you a little bit, and you'll see a bird seems to fly. I'm not sure what direction, but seems to fly in front of the moon. So that was pretty interesting. Caught that, and then got the camera steady and ready for the transit. My alarm went off on my phone, and I knew I had 10 seconds. I counted down in my head: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I remember waiting, like, what? And then sure enough, there it was. So it was within 2 or 3 seconds of what time it was supposed to, I think. And here we go, we're going to watch it again, this time at 50% speed. Go ahead and see it if you don't see it. Starting about 2 o'clock and ending around 8. Again, now we're watching it at 75% speed. And finally, we'll watch it at a super slow-mo 10% speed. Starting around 2 and ending around 8 o'clock. After this, I'll go ahead and zoom in so we can get a little closer look. And it was confirmed that the ISS is at least taking the shape that it's supposed to. Now again, I've shown before that this could be easily faked by somebody who wanted to fake it. I have no need to fake it. This is an actual video. And here we can see it as close as basically I can get. And it looks to be the shape of the ISS. Does it look a little weird? Yeah. I mean, does it look like a blob? Yeah. But I have no reason to doubt that whatever is flying in the sky has the shape that the ISS is supposed to have. Now, one thing I did do, just because I wanted to kind of verify it a little bit further, is I took this particular image of the ISS, or supposed ISS, and the first thing I did was I chroma keyed it to take out all of the black. And now you see that, and I put it in front of the moon, and then I was able to reduce the size and get it down to the same size as the blob crossing. Spun it, turned it the right way, and overlaid it. It certainly looks to be the correct dimensions of the ISS. Fit right over it, just like that. And so now the question becomes, do I believe in the ISS, or that the ISS is what I can see flying above my head? Well, here's what I believe. I believe that the craft that takes the pictures that can be found on the eoj.jsc website, well, those pictures are taken by a craft shaped like the ISS. That's what I believe. But do I believe that Mark Kelly and all the astronauts are actually inside said craft? No. No, I don't. Why? Well, let's go through the reasons why. First off, we have to remember that we're talking about NASA. Of all people, NASA. The organization that has lied to not just the country, but the world about the greatest feat ever by mankind. They did 6 supposed missions with people landing on the moon, all between 1969 and 1972, all during the presidency of Mr. Crook himself, Richard Nixon. Now, the images we're looking at now look so much like models, and if you've ever looked into the models used in Star Wars and the models they used in Space Odyssey 2001, you'll know that these look identical to the black box models that they made for those movies, almost to a T. And some of these images supposedly taken from the ground, I just can't buy them. This one here is supposedly taken from some telescope. This one here actually places 3 of these solar panels on the ISS, and it looks nothing like it in my opinion. Not that that means that it's fake, because people are faking images, but it certainly makes me doubt some things. Then I see an image like this, and it looks to me to be a model. Remember that the size that we're looking at is supposedly the length of a football field, and this looks like a tiny little model in a little black box. Again, that's just my opinion. But let us continue with more reasons why I would never trust liars. I think Eddie Bravo said it best when he said, "I'd rather be thought of as an idiot and a moron for not trusting known liars and crooks and thieves, rather than to be a traitor for backing them." And that's exactly how I feel when you watch film like this, which looks terrible. And all the space agencies. This is from Japan, supposedly some lander that was going to the moon. And if you believe this, then you're just simply not capable of looking at evidence and reaching a conclusion, because this is fabricated completely, 100%. That's not the moon, and this craft is not flying there. So you can believe it if you want, but if you are simply believing it because men tell you to, and that's not a safe way to go about your business, especially when money is being dumped into the laps of people who just mention the idea of space.